What's coming up in today's video? One of the UK's original artisan soap makers, and something really embarrassing that I have to admit, so stay tuned. Hello again, Michael Friedrich here from beautiful North Carolina, and today I have only one shaving product for review. It is a artisan soap from the UK, Wickham Soap Company, and today it is the Irish Fern in the 1912 version of their soap base. This is many thanks to Mark at Friendship Shaving. Thanks once again for the two samples. I have not used a Wickham soap in a long time. I remember when they first came out in the UK. We were lucky enough in the Big Shave to get a couple tubs for sample that we sent around as kind of a pass around. It was a very lovely scented soap. There was a Club Cola scent, which I think is still available. A nice, soft, tacky soap and a big, wide open mouth tub to make it very easy to load. Great stuff. And the UK was really sort of in search of and in need of artisan soap makers because the US was beginning to grow quite a bit. And there was this sort of gap between traditional British-based shaving soaps and a very strong growing US market. So Wickham soaps kind of burst onto the scene there. I'm very happy to see that. I will show you what it looks like in the loading bowl. It was a small sample, which I was not quite sure was going to last a week because you just never know. It's a very soft soap. Or the original formula was you could pick up quite a bit when loading. But here you can see I've just have it pressed into the loading bowl. There is absolutely tons left for today. No issues with the quantity. The scent on the soap, as you might have guessed from the name Irish Fern, is a fougere, and it's a very nice, it's really kind of a clean, simple, slightly grassy green scent to it. Nice lovely fern mix. I do get a touch of lemon. There's a bit of sort of a bright floral in there, and then there is, based on the scent notes, a little bit of wood in there as well. So very nice stuff. I'm going to get that lathered up in just a moment, but before we get started, here is the thing that is so embarrassing to admit. Today's razor is going to be, I believe it's a 1955, is that right? It's an A3, yeah, an A3, which I'm not sure you'll be able to see or not, but an A3 Gillette Flare Tip. What's embarrassing about this razor is that I completely forgot that I even owned it. I was sort of going through my Borderlands 2 replica loot crate where I keep all my razors and some of the other shaving stuff, and I just thought, hey, what's that? Oh my God, a razor I did not even remember that I had, and that is embarrassing. You just end up with so much stuff in some ways, and you just sort of cycle through, and then something gets buried at the bottom and you completely forget about it. That is kind of mortifying. Okay, today's blade is going to be a Voskhod blade in there. I've gone through 3 different blades. First was a Gillette Wilkinson sword, very nice pairing. Switched to a Perma Sharp, did not work at all. Though I think it was a dud blade, it just felt tuggy and rough. Ditched it after one shave and moved on to the Voskhod because I had one remaining out of a tuck. So let me go ahead and rinse my face, wet it up a little bit, and then we'll go for the start lathering up. Today's brush is going to be the return of the Yaqi, the High Mountain Badger. Let me just show you what that now looks like before I get it wet. Just look at how beautifully that brush has bloomed open. Just fantastic. It's a 24 millimeter with this kind of cool two-tone handle. It has a tiny touch of scritch when lathering, but you would not be able to tell that at all from how soft the tips feel when you just are touching it. Beautiful brush. All right, let me just wet that through. It's Badger, obviously just needs to be wet through, not soaked before use. Of course, you're welcome to soak them if you want, but there really is no need to do so. All right, that's good and wet. I'm going to shake out most of the water. Start with a relatively dry brush. Apologies for the clanking. Youthful enthusiasm. And that is going to start forming a bit of a dry paste. But this brush sucks up a huge amount of soap very quickly. You can see how easily it spreads too. It's got, I would say, moderate backbone to medium backbone. This is not a stiff or hard to splay brush at all. I'm just dipped a bit of water into the bowl. There we go. I can hear that starting to get a little sticky and pasty again, so a bit more water. There we go. And just lather that up. Load the brush. Almost flubbed my lines. All right, that is looking pretty good. I think that is plenty. And if I need more, I'm going to go back to the bowl because there's plenty of soap left for today's shave. All right, wet my face a little bit and just drip a bit of water onto the face of the brush. Lathering the soap is very, very easy. It is a vegetal, or I hesitate to say vegan because you never know, but a vegetable soap. I think it has cocoa butter, jojoba oil, avocado oil. I think those are the three main ones. A very nice, light, and kind of slick face feel to it. That is still too dry, obviously, because I loaded a lot of soap. There we go. Brush is going to be absolutely packed with lather. I would say based on the soap in the container, I would say is moderately scented. It's not a strong scent. And that sort of carries through to the lather. I would say lightly scented once you begin to lather. It's not one of those scents that kind of bursts open. Yeah, very, very nice. So easy to work with. Has a nice kind of light touch to it. There we go. You can, if you like a heavy, dense lather, you can absolutely create one with that soap. You just have to load a bit more heavily and then just add a touch of water as you begin to form the lather. Okay, here we go. With the grain, 2 days plus worth of growth, Gillette Flare Tip, washcloth blade. This is, by the way, one of the first vintage razors that I ever used. I think this was, and it wasn't this one obviously, but I received one as a gift from a friend who also recommended me join the Big Shave. And honestly, up to that point, I was a one soap, one brush, use it till it was gone kind of guy. Which I know seems very hard to believe today, but that is true. And in my heart, I have to admit that in those days, I may have mocked and disdained those fools among you who just couldn't seem to stop buying things. Yeah, look at me now. I do wonder if I'm kind of making a big circular orbit kind of back to a place where, why do I have so much stuff? Especially when I have things I don't even know that I have. That's a wake-up call right there. I mean, that'll be the one advantage of doing like a shaved in video, is that maybe at the moment when you do it, people could see the look on your face kind of, unedited when you realize, oh my God, I have that. I think the Flare Tip is a very easy to use razor. It's pretty efficient and it's comfortable, but not greatly comfortable. Like for me, it's in some ways a very middle of the road, kind of a very average razor, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it's neither very efficient nor very comfortable. Wow, the soap just feels so good. It has a kind of very natural, slick feeling to it. And like a lot of soaps, often settles down, like many do, they settle down between the first and second lather. It's like a bit of the air, you know, falls out of them. Very nice. All right, rinse my hands. This will be the across the grain pass. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I like, you know, it is a very easy to hold razor. The knurling on the handle works really well. Mechanically, this thing still works very, very well. I think this is 55. I think A is 1955. It's either 55 or 57. One of those two. Or maybe 56. Oh, what am I doing? Dear God. Something like that happens, you just wonder, you know, worry that the shaving police bust in. Very good slickness on the soap. But face feel of the razor, at least for me, is what I would describe as pretty good. Not great. Certainly not as good as the face feel of the black tip, for example. In case you're wondering, if this looks like I'm shaving in basically the same way that I did for the with the grain pass at the bottom of my neck, I pretty much am, because I find that this razor in particular, and this has been true for other flare tips that I've had and then passed on, is that it is definitely a little bit irritating right at that bottom line. So rather than push it, adapt to it. I would have to say, of the three blades in here so far, that Gillette Wilkinson sword was definitely the best of the three. Perma-Sharp probably would be pretty good if I had one that was actually not a dud, but unfortunately the one that I picked up, not so good. Okay, let's go for the against the grain pass. I'm going to dip the tip of the brush in a bit of water. I'm going to lather up a little bit more because I have plenty to spare. All right, there we go. Dip a bit of water on there. Yeah, lovely scent. Yeah, thanks again to Mark from Friendship Shaving for sending on those samples. Sent three different soap manufacturers, two of which I had not tried or hadn't tried in a long time. The third I used relatively recently, so that one I'll probably pass on to somebody else. I think the other one was Wickham Soaps and Phoenix and Bow, which I don't know that I've actually tried. There we go. As they say in the UK, enough faffing about. And yes, I said faffing. But you can see just how nice and kind of dense and creamy that is. So yeah, if you wanted to create kind of a thicker, heavier lather, just load a bit more heavily and just don't add as much water. All right, third and final pass. This is going to be against the grain. Yeah, it's in particular this pass where I feel like this razor is just not the one for me, really. Gets the job done, but it's not a razor that I would really look forward to using, which might explain, by the way, why it was at the bottom of the loot crate and why I'd forgotten about it. May have to pass this on to somebody else who will love it more than I do. Pretty nice buffing though, if you like that sort of thing, and I do. Razors had a bit of a hard time with this sort of denser hair here. There we go, almost done. Yeah, I feel like there's just a, excuse me just one moment. Something about the way that razor feels in the skin and the fact that there's still a bit of audible feedback, and the fact that I don't feel like it's that efficient, it makes you sort of a tendency to want to overshave a little bit. So just stop right there. Exercise some self-control. All right, time to rinse. Now, interesting thing about the soap, the first day I used it, because it has a slightly lighter face feel than a lot of the sort of the heavier, fattier lathers, expected to be relatively easy to rinse, and that seemed to be the case. But I gotta say, subsequent days, I'm not sure what the difference was. Oh, I just got so much soap in my ear. This is easy, or this feels easy to lather, but in fact, this feels easy to rinse, but in fact isn't. Takes a little bit of work to do. There we go. The coup de grace. The alternating one hand, two hand, one hand rinse. All right, let's wipe. Now in terms of post shave, this is kind of the most interesting thing for the week. There is an initially it feels a little bit tight and a little bit drying, but in fact, I'm not exactly sure why that is, because after just a minute or two, couple minutes, your face begins to feel supple again. So the post shave actually in the immediate aftermath may feel a little tight and a little drying, but that seems to fade after a minute or so. And then kind of a nice slick, a more supple face feel than you might expect from that initial post rinse feel. All right, well, that was quick and easy. Like I said, that razor works, but it's not a lot of fun, and it doesn't really scream efficiency, and it's not super comfortable. It's just very in the middle of the road. All right, today's aftershave, you may be wondering, well, it's going to be, and I hope you can see this, it's hard to see where to show you the label, but it's going to be the Barrister and Mann Fern. Beautiful stuff, wonderful scent, and a perfect way to finish off this shave. I don't have the matching aftershave, if there even is one, for the Wickham soaps, but this is a great match. Another lightly alcohol and witch hazel, chamomile, and a variety of other sort of skin soothing and irritation banishing ingredients. I really, really like these aftershaves. It's a great balance of the alcohol, because you definitely feel the alcohol when you first put it on, but it's a very light touch. And then the witch hazel comes in. There's a slight slickness from the glycerin. Some of the additional botanicals really help calm down any kind of heat or irritation you might have. Oh, and a lovely, lovely fern scent. That's just a great way to close off that shave. All right, let me put the cap back on there, and then let's do a lightning round of review. I just want to clarify, by the way, just one thing. In case you're wondering, this is not the original label. Mm-hmm. The Wickham Soap Company, Irish Fern, this is the 1912 formula. A very, very nice, as he describes, as a vegetal soap. Easy to lather, very nice, slick face feel when lathering. You can create a light, sort of a bit more kind of wet lather if you like. You can also load pretty heavy and create a nice, dense, thick lather if that's what you like to do. Easy to lather, very good slickness, good protection. And interestingly enough, even though the post shave might not feel good in the immediate aftermath of rinsing, it actually comes on strong right after that. So still, thumbs up in that regard. Very, very nice soap, and I'm really glad to see that he's been able to keep that brand going. I'm sure it's a bit of a tough road to hoe at the beginning, but the UK definitely needed its sort of artisan market itself to grow. You've seen it happen in Canada, in Australia, in the UK, the US. There's obviously people sort of around Europe. Just fantastic to see. So thank you once again to Mark from Friendship Shaving for sending that sample, and great work by Wickham Soap. Today's razor is the long forgotten, sadly long forgotten, the Gillette Flare Tip. A pretty good razor, comfortable and relatively efficient and kind of comfortable, but it just, there's nothing about this that kind of sparks joy, if you want to go with the current expression. This may once again fall to the bottom of the loot crate or get passed on to somebody else. Embarrassing to find out that I still had it and didn't even realize it. Embarrassing, I tell you. The brush for today is this fantastic Yaqi, this high mountain badger. Huge face on that knot, just opened up beautifully. A tiny touch of scritch. If you are an infrequent shaver and you have a bit of face growth going on, you want a little bit of extra scrub in there, that's a nice medium backbone with a lot of surface area and a touch of scritch. Great fit. I think will work on a wide variety of soaps, no issues. And then, of course, to close it out, as you just saw a few moments ago, the Barrister and Mann, Fern. This is the Reserve Aftershave. Lovely stuff. Perfect scent to complement the Wickham soap. Yeah, what can you say? That ended very, 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 very well, all things considered. And in fact, I'm quite proud of myself, because normally what happens is when I have one of these sort of props, it always falls in the sink, and today that didn't happen. So, good for me. All right, my friends, that's it for today. Thank you again so much for watching. I really appreciate the time you're taking to watch these videos. As always, please feel free to leave a question or comment against this video or any previous video, and I'll get back with those as quick as I can. Thank you again so much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.